Even as we are a nation of immigrants, we're also a nation of laws. Undocumented workers broke our immigration laws, and I believe that they must be held accountable, especially those who may be dangerous. That's why over the past 6 years, deportations of criminals are up 80%. And that's why we're going to keep focusing enforcement resources on actual threats to our security.
The deporter in chief. Y'all remember they used to call Obama? I think something like that. The deporter in chief, because he deported. I think to this day he's deported more illegal immigrants than Donald Trump has. I think Donald Trump might catch him though, because he's like, yeah, let's get it popping. You know, I can't lose. But who knows? Anyways, welcome to Pegasus versus the World, where we take on challenges, comedy, trending topics, and some travel. City boy, city boy. All right, this is Samson. It's called Immigration.
If you're illegal, we don't fucking want you here. I don't care if you're brown or if you got blonde hair. I don't care what color you are, it's all the same. If you're as white as Elon or dark as Cobby Lame, you do it legal. And if you don't, get the fuck out. Rules keep our lives civilized, otherwise we bug out. If we don't vet citizens at the entrances, and it's a recipe for disaster. We can't just let anyone in, that's crazy. They ain't just grabbing random people. They ain't just driving around and packing vans with Latinos. This ain't a haphazard attack on the Latin scene. It's cracking down on those who came through a passage that was illegal. I don't see the issue, and most Mexicans don't either. It's always the younger crowd that's acting so eager. So fuck the kids, ask the parents what they see. If they're immigrants, I almost guarantee they disagree. See, there's no one more proud in this country than those who came to it and did it the legal way and made dough and attained the shit. Then they turn around and see this protest nonsense. All these posters for folks who didn't go through the process. My father-in-law came to this country with nothing, no money to his name, turned nothing to something. And when he sees these videos of all the sudden destruction, he looks me in the eyes and tells me that he's fucking disgusted. You'll never see him in that crowd. It's just a bunch of kids holding up fuck ICE signs, but they don't know what they did. They don't even know who the hell was detained, and if you asked them, I bet they couldn't even tell you their names. It's fucking insane. There's no sense to be had, no thought whatsoever, no direction or path. If you're protesting being sent back to your country, then why the fuck would you be holding up the Mexican flag? Explain it to me.
That internal rhyme scheme was sick. How he went to the Mexican flag bar. Anyways, I like shit like this, dog. This is what's crazy. I'm getting goosebumps because there's different types and styles of rap music. And in this lane, this underground, this to me is like underground hip hop, underground backpack. I hate to classify it as underground, that, you know, it's never going to be mainstream. I'm not saying that, but the sound, the feel, the essence is underground, right? But when I hear this, I know, I've listened to Samson. I know he's capable of like rapping really fast, positioning really heavy hitting punchlines, metaphors with multiple meanings, you know, entendres, a bunch of different stuff. But right here, he's just being straightforward. And sometimes just giving the truth and being straightforward cuts deeper. And it's just funny because it's just like, it's almost like we're just having a conversation about current things that are happening, whether you agree with it or not, you know, whether you agree with it or not. I totally, you know, I agree with what's being said here, especially at the capacity of the biggest problem in America with the immigration stuff, in my opinion, is that the government is allocating resources to people who are not citizens of this country before and over. So they're allocating resources and things to people of this country that are not of this country, that are not citizens of this country, over people who are citizens, veterans, and a bunch of different things. My new take on immigration is this. If you're here and you're in one of those programs where you're actually paying taxes, let's figure it out. I'm cool with that, you know? But if you're just here, you're not a citizen, you're not supposed to, you're taking resources, this, that, the other. It's just, it is what it is, dog. You know, it just is what it is. Again, I'm in a sanctuary. I'm not in a sanctuary city, but a sanctuary state. I live in Colorado, but I do not live in Denver. But yeah, we saw how that played out. And then also you see, you know, it's just funny because they started housing, you know, a lot of these immigrants in these cities, and like places like Chicago had to like give up. I forgot the story. This was a while back, but in winter they had to house migrants because the winter got so frigid, you know, in the schools. And then people and what's funny, it's just ironic, but the people who get displaced is typically a lot of times is the black community, right? So it's just kind of ironic how it works out, right? Where it's like, you know, black people vote Democrat, and it's really the Democratic Party that's, you know, hyper incentivizing sanctuary cities and a lot of the immigration policies or whatever. But then sometimes, man, I'll find out behind the scenes, bro. Like this is just a baton. These MFers are passing batons, bro. It's like a uniparty, so it is what it is. But I think he's making great statements, and this goes from someone who has friends and family who migrated the proper way, and it's a long process, dog. That's the thing. It's like, you know, the shortest I think I've seen it done is 5 or 6 years, and then some of the longer times at 9 to 12 years to like to migrate here properly and legally. It's not an easy process, bro. And maybe it's quicker for some people. I don't know. I'm just speaking from lived experience, and I think there's something to be had with that, right? Anything that means something takes time. So I don't know.
No sense to be had, no thought whatsoever, no direction or path. If you're protesting being sent back to your country, then why the fuck would you be holding up the Mexican flag? Explain it to me, cause really it doesn't make any sense to me. Who's the enemy? Your movement perplexes me. That's like breaking out of prison and going straight to the street and holding up a picket sign for the penitentiary. You know, I always been a firm believer in statistics. I always thought the numbers that you see are realistic, but I don't know. After the riots in LA, I think the unemployment rate is way higher than they say. Look at you fucks. Good heavens, Pete's sake. Y'all been out in these streets now for several weeks, man. Y'all just doing it to do it. You don't even care that much. You ain't doing it for the cause. You just there to tear shit up. And what the fuck's with all the white people up in the mix? My people always gotta have something to fix. Did you ever think for one split second they don't want you there and you're just getting in the way of what they're trying to accomplish here? Don't worry, you don't have to face it alone. If there's a racial issue, we'll make it our own. You think screaming at the cops at the top of your lungs is gonna make them have a change of heart and drop all their guns? Like a scrawny little long-haired bony fucking white dude is gonna say some profound shit to an ICE agent, and it's gonna make him change his mind about his occupation. Like, you know what? You're right, this is racist.
I'll get you a job. I'll get you a job, man. I can get you a job. I can get you a good paying job. I can get you a good paying job. Guns don't belong here. Put the gun down. I'll get you a job. You're fucking hired. Please, man.
Yo, I watched this thing on the internet. ICE agents are paid really well, and they're like doing a huge hiring. They're doing like some huge hiring in the entry level. Like, bro, they get paid really well, benefits. So, dog, chill out with the. I mean, it's ironic that he looking like Joe Dirt, but anyway, that's crazy, bro. Hey, now that I think about it, because I'm just watching the homie with the mullet and the Joe Dirt joint, man, we missed the mullet. Samson, damn, dog, where'd that shit go, player? Where'd it go? Anyways, he's cooking. I think it's funny. He addressed a couple of, he's like, I think the unemployment rate is higher than you guys are saying it is. And that's a play on, like, you know, Donald Trump always like, yo, everything's getting better. Everyone's, you know, working. It's a play on that. And then the fact that there's so many people protesting. How can you have time to protest if you have a legitimate job and you're working and you're a productive member of society? That's what he's poking fun at all of that. And the realest thing is, notice how the protests and stuff pipe up when kids are out of school. It's in summertime when people go ham. It's like interesting. People protest when it's very convenient most of the time, I've noticed. In summer, you know, not in cold, frigid weather. No one's out there in an ice storm, like a legitimate ice storm, not ICE, the federal agents or whatever. But you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. It is interesting seeing all this stuff play out and how it's all working itself out. But he makes up some good points. There's a lot of people in the country that think this way. I mean, I think this way at most capacity. I started seeing it, you know, in my city. I've told this story where, you know, I started making a little extra money on YouTube, and the the assistant program that we had been on for our kiddos, no longer I have this buy into insurance, right? So I'm like, fine, no big deal, get the insurance. And then every time I go anywhere, it's out of network. And then one time we had to take my daughter to the ER, and it cost like $5,000. Our cost, what I had to pay was $2,500. And that's when I was like, yo, this is crazy, because people were like, yeah, the people who are not citizens can go to the ER and, they get treated for free. And I'm like, that's just, again, these are just little things that I've seen in my day-to-day life, lived experience, where I'm like, yo, that's crazy. And I'm paying into the system of healthcare in America. And it's really, I tried to get the best healthcare, especially for my kids. And every time I tell stories about this online, typically people landslide me and say, oh, you got to get a better plan. You got to do this, that, and the other. Just for context, I don't work for a company. I'm independent. I run a couple different companies. They're doing okay. And I got the best insurance that I was led to believe by my agent would be on point. And it seems like every time we go to urgent care, it's out of network. So I'm paying out of pocket, this, that, and the other. And then the other thing that I've been seeing online is when people are in, like, I'm in a good financial situation, so I'm not going to complain. It just is what it is. I pay for it. But people who aren't in a good financial situation, the new thing people are saying is GoFundMe is insurance, is American healthcare. GoFundMe is American healthcare. And I was like, that stings. Anyways, I'm just saying this. The fact that we can allocate resources to people who aren't even citizens of this country before we figure out our healthcare system and a bunch of other things in America, people are sick of it, period. That's it. That's what this is about. And the more I talk about it, the fact that we've put $1 towards people who are not citizens pisses me off when I think of the people who actually are in a way worse position than I am when it comes to healthcare. And it's always the middle class, or a little bit above or a little bit lower than the middle class. It's never the poor people, because poor people in America have Medicaid and these systems that are, healthcare for all. Basically, healthcare for all, what they have in Europe, they have that in America, but it's for poor people. Only people under a certain thing, but they have everything covered. So it's just funny how that works and how they tax the buffering system of America. The safety net of America is the middle class, and they get taxed the most. And then they wonder why middle class people get enraged when the government allocates all these resources to someone who's not even a citizen.
Now look, I ain't heartless. I know that there's a lot of anger and pain this causes. There's a lot of people that did no harm at all. But you gotta understand, dog, the law is the law. And breaking it with good intentions doesn't make it right. You ain't exempt from the consequences. You gotta pay the price. You should have thought twice before you did what you shouldn't. But I'm willing to bet that you knew the risk and you took it. And that's the problem. Why you came here in the first place. The fear of getting caught wasn't as worse as your birthplace. Just food for thought. Instead of trying to elude the law, maybe you should all be trying to solve the root cause. Why is it our duty to adjust our immigration? We ain't the ones to blame for the function of your nation. Instead of coming here and telling us we need to change, how about you try to start a movement in the country that you came from? I know what you're gonna say, that's a hard sell. Corruption in the government and plus the cartel, those are big issues, something we need to sift and get through. And I'd be more than happy if we helped fix it with you, but not like this. Not by taking down our borders, but by giving you what you need so you can salvage yours. Military support and economic assistance to go to war with the forces that's threatening y'all's existence. It wouldn't be that hard for us to chisel off a piece. Look up a chart, dog. I mean, we've almost given y'all the least. So fuck it, we're already stuck in debt with trillions. So what's it gonna hurt to spend a couple extra billion? Shit, in my eyes, helping our neighbors is critical. I'd rather give you residuals than Ukraine and Israel. We've given them hundreds of billions of dollars each. And you know how much we've given y'all? 3. I ain't saying that you need it or to beg us for it. I'm just saying that we spend a lot and we could lend support. I'm all for helping out the country to the south of us, but politicians never put their money where their mouth is. They always say they care, but they never give a fuck. They just put a band-aid on the cut, but never stitch it up. Even if you make it here, it doesn't change the fact that the rest of your nation remains in chains and trapped. The Mexicans I talk to love their country deeply, even though growing up in that bitch wasn't easy. They're grateful for the opportunity that we provide, but they remember where they came from and they love to see it thrive. So while you're protesting, put that on your piece of paper. You want the US to help you make your country safer, but until then, if you're illegal, you can leave here. You don't want them there, and we don't want them here either.
You know, without trying to get into a field that I'm not an expert in, I mean, he dropped gems, bro. Like he was spitting. And if y'all saw the support link, go support him. I rock with Samson, and he's a straight, grassroots. Like I wouldn't surprise me if he made that beat himself. Like I ain't gonna lie. But anyways, bro, I rock with Samson. Okay, let's not get caught off, get off track. He mentioned some things about helping the people at the southern border. But we also have to remember people are immigrating from all over. And one of those places is Haiti, right? And there are these concepts that I'm not going to go over 100% in this reaction video, but America and its intelligence agencies are involved just like other countries. But let's just say there's things being done in other countries, elections being taken at some capacity, presidents getting, sniped out. I'm talking about other countries, like the president of Haiti just got, not just recently, but he was assassinated. There's all these things that cripples environments and makes them worse if they're already bad. And then those people are like, yo, I got to get out of here, right? And if by any chance there is a connection to America creating this chaos in these other places, there has to be a conversation. That's when I'm like, oh, I kind of understand the leftist point of view. It's like, oh, we went in, an intelligence agency took out this president. It got tremendously worse in this country and people are fleeing for their lives. When we're talking about the southern border, a lot of times it's economic asylum. People just want opportunities, which is fine too. But I'm talking about people fleeing like refugee type war torn stuff. Like, some of these places have been dismantled. And not all of it's because of their people and their own doing, not all the times. Sometimes in the unseen, there's strategic moves being made and placements. And at some capacity, America, I'm not just going to say America, there's other countries too, but could cause some of this chaos. So let's say if we could prove or understand that we're a part of this chaos, let's say in Haiti or something, for example, what is our responsibility of taking in some people from Haiti at that capacity, right? And I'm not saying that's what's going on exactly because I'm not like into geopolitics like that, but I know for a fact that America is not innocent when it comes to a lot of things going on in the world today. So it's just being a realist about it. So that's the only thing I would add to this. Because this conversation isn't really complex. It's not really that nuanced, I don't think. I really don't think, it's just not until we start getting into weeds of stuff like that, like people who actually need like legit asylum and they're getting away from, crazy things happening. So, I don't know. Holler at your boy. I agree with Samson. I feel it. And I think a lot more people agree with him than people would want to admit. I think on the internet, they might highlight people saying this, that, and the other. But the reality is we live in a country where you're allocating resources to people who are not from here and not even citizens, while the citizens can't even get proper health care. That's just the truth. So what do you think is going to happen? That's what's just crazy. I'm going to tap out with that. That was Samson. Go check this out. It's called Immigration. It's on his YouTube channel. And then click that go. I don't know if it was a GoFundMe link. Let me look. You can just go to his bio. Let's look at his bio, his description. Yeah, you can just go to PayPal or Cash App and send him some bread. And that's how you support his music. That's how underground he is. It's like, dog, I ain't tripping on nothing. Like, because you don't make no money off streaming. I don't know if he put this on streaming platforms, but financially, that's just not the wave. They pay you fractions and fractions of a penny for a stream. It's actually horrendous and really crazy. It's frightening. And then even on YouTube, because this video is not 8 minutes long, he doesn't get the same ad revenue for a video that's 5 minutes and 37 seconds. So show him some love, hit him with some support, holla.
City boy, city boy.